It's been nearly 4 weeks since the jail escape took place down in New Orleans, and Derrick Groves and Antoine Massey are still out there on the run, living their best life as fugitives. With every day that passes, you got to imagine these guys are probably standing an even better chance of remaining just that, fugitives at large, evading capture. But folks, we do have some news to report. There has just, I guess yesterday, been another arrest of a person accused of helping to aid these escapees. And this is another person that worked at the Orleans Parish Justice Center. Except different from Sterling Williams, because he was actually a current employee. This latest arrest was a former employee, and also somebody who was mentioned to be an ex-girlfriend of Derrick Groves. Also, a mother speaks out of one of the former escapees who has since been captured about how her son's time is now being housed at Angola State Prison, the largest maximum security prison in the United States, and also referred to as Alcatraz of the South. And wait until you hear what they have to say about their current conditions versus the jail that they escaped from. But let's go ahead and begin with this former jail employee and also ex-girlfriend of Derrick Groves just being arrested and I believe charged, possibly yesterday, for helping to aid in this escape. As we begin this, I want to say I actually heard about this a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week, possibly 2 weeks ago, where this particular person was arrested but potentially not charged. And maybe now all of a sudden they have finally charged this woman with aiding these escapees. I'm not sure why there was such a delay in terms of charging this woman versus how things went with the previous people who helped to aid in this escape. Possibly it was just a slow news day. Maybe authorities felt like they had to do something, because as of right now, there is absolutely nothing in relation to Derrick Groves and Antoine Massey to report on. These guys are absolutely in the wind. But interesting to note, I want to start first with the first story that I ran across in relation to this particular woman like a week or two ago. Actually filmed about this but never shared it because I wasn't exactly sure what to make of the news that was being reported. It was kind of confusing. Folks, this information that I'm getting ready to share with you is being re-reported just yesterday, but this information actually first broke on May 31st. From a story with a headline that reads, "Friends and family of New Orleans fugitives arrested for aiding jail escape." And though the information first shared about this woman was confusing because I wasn't sure whether or not she had actually been charged for helping to aid in this escape, they did share about why she was a former jail employee and not a current one. And this information is crazy. Former jail employee appears linked to the escape. After the audacious escape in the early morning hours of May 16th, a woman who police described as associated with Groves picked up and transported escapee Van Buren to a relative's residence, the documents show. Now, when this information first came out about this woman, they weren't identifying her neither. En route, she called Van Buren's sister, who came to meet them. This woman, who has not been charged with aiding in the escape, shares the same name as a former Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office employee, according to court records. Back in 2003, that employee was arrested for bringing in a folding knife and a bag of Cheetos containing tobacco and marijuana into the jail. She was fired for bringing in contraband and also a weapon. But folks, this gets even crazier. Those charges were dropped in part due to the woman's lack of a criminal history and because she successfully completed a pretrial diversion program. I've never heard of somebody committing a felony and those charges getting completely dropped because of the fact that they don't have a criminal history, when in fact they are caught committing a crime. I'm not trying to hate on this woman at all for these charges being dropped. The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office did not respond to a request for comment. Was there more going on in this particular case? Hey, drop these charges against me or else I'm going to spill the beans about everything I know taking place in this jail. Could be a plausible scenario. Like I said, all of this information came out on May the 29th. Now, all of a sudden, we're charging this woman. Why did it take so long for this particular woman to be charged when, again, in other cases, hey, they were quick to the draw to just charge everybody? Again, I'm thinking, slow news day, not a lot to report. Where do we go from here? We don't have a clue where these guys are at. Antoine Massey is trolling us on Instagram. We're looking like fools. Is there anybody who we haven't arrested yet? Oh, wait a minute. That former jail guard. Remember, she was fired for bringing in that folding knife and the weed and tobacco in a false bottom and a bag of Cheetos. Let's go get her. That way we can show some kind of progress. Which brings us to breaking news just yesterday at 3 p.m., folks. Girlfriend of Orleans Justice Center escapee Derrick Groves arrested in New Orleans. Authorities arrested Dariana Burton for conspiracy after New Orleans jail escape. Folks, look at this picture. It's like the police just took a picture of her right there when they put the handcuffs on her. This isn't even a mugshot, I don't think. Looks like this photo was taken in her living room. Also looks like she was probably talking a little bit of trash to the cops when they arrested her, too. A woman believed to be the girlfriend of New Orleans jail escapee Derrick Groves was arrested on Monday, according to the U.S. Marshal and Attorney General Liz Murrill. We have confirmed they were an on and off again relationship for 3 years. Attorney General Murrill's office said in a statement. 28-year-old Dariana Burton was wanted on a Louisiana Attorney General's warrant for conspiracy to commit simple escape. Man, if you got a warrant from the Attorney General's office, that sounds pretty serious. Officials say she was arrested in the 2600 block of St. Peter Street without incident. Burton was an Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office employee from August 2022 to March 2023 when she was caught bringing contraband into the jail. Did her and Derrick Groves potentially meet while he was incarcerated? And she then was a correctional officer. Was he able to compromise her during that time? Hey, beautiful. Would you be willing to bring me a pocket knife in here, as well as some weed and cigarettes? When she was caught bringing contraband into the jail. She was arrested and charged with bringing the contraband into the jail, but the DA's office later refused the charges. I know there's more than what they're letting on in relation to that particular case. The sheriff's office fired her after the incident. Her arrest comes 3 weeks after 10 inmates escaped the Orleans Parish Justice Center. So far, 8 have been captured. Derrick Groves and Antoine Massey still remain on the run. We will continue to pursue anyone and everyone who has aided and abetted these criminals. We will find you, arrest you, and prosecute you to the full extent of the law. I'd like to thank the U.S. Marshal Service for executing our warrant for this woman. We will eventually get Antoine Massey and Derrick Groves back to prison where they belong. Burton has been transported to the Portsmouth Parish Jail. Forgive me for the theatrics right there, but I do feel like this particular story and arrest is more of a publicity stunt. Again, with first mentioning this woman 2 weeks ago, why all of a sudden is she just now being arrested? You know what? As I share this, I come up with a possible scenario. Maybe they let her stay out on the loose, feeling like she could potentially lead authorities to these remaining 2 fugitives. You know what? Let's do things different with this woman. She was an on and off girlfriend of Derrick Groves. If we keep her on the streets and watch her, let's put surveillance on her 24/7. Maybe these escapees come to us instead. That's actually quite plausible why they waited to not just arrest this woman, but charge her. When again, it sounds like back on May the 29th, she was originally arrested, but not charged. Things continue to come full circle with the developments that we have to share here today. This woman, Burton, was charged for aiding and abetting. It doesn't sound like she was helping Derrick Groves, her boyfriend. It sounds like they arrested her for helping one of the former escapees who's since been caught, Linton Van Buren. which is interesting to note because it was just his mother who recently spoke out about how his current conditions are now that he's been transferred to a maximum security prison, the largest maximum security prison in the United States, Angola State Prison, again referred to as Alcatraz of the South. And it sounds like things are better for this guy here than at this particular jail in New Orleans. What families are saying. Natasha, mom of escapee Linton Van Buren, told the news, he was like, "Ma, it's better than New Orleans jail. They feed us hot food. We all together." Van Buren is now in Angola prison. He was recaptured days after the escape and is one of several inmates who say jail conditions in New Orleans were dangerous and dehumanizing. You know, at some point, you got to take heed to what these guys are saying, especially for an individual like Linton Van Buren, who wasn't even in jail originally for charges as severe as some of these other escapees. In fact, the information about Linton Van Buren's original charges prior to the New Orleans jail escape indicate he was in jail facing charges of illegally carrying weapons, possession of firearms or weapon by a felon, obstruction of justice, and introducing contraband into a prison. Granted, you're probably looking at like a 10-piece for these charges combined, maybe even a little bit more. But in comparison to some of these other prisoners who were facing life sentences and numerous decades in prison, these are some of the lesser type of charges that we're seeing of these escapees. And this guy still risked additional time being added onto his sentence if he did escape and in fact was apprehended like he was. Could there be truth to the fact that these guys are saying this jail was so freaking deplorable? I did an interview with an unnamed prisoner in Orleans Parish Jail. An exclusive. The news doesn't even have that information. Where this particular prisoner, who is not even nowhere near where the escape took place, he's multiple floors up. The escape took place on the first floor of the facility. They've been dealing with no water since the escape, which I'm sure at this point they've had to have corrected. But this man shared with us that they were forced to use the restroom inside of an igloo cooler. Are you in the same place where those guys, where all the news is coming out of?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you guys haven't had water in 7 days?
We don't. And the poop is piled up past the toilet. Oh, it's messed up. They was giving us a plastic bag to use the bathroom in a igloo cooler. You know the coolers they have on the football field that they throw on the It's bad. It's real bad.
If the conditions are so bad inside of a facility, the risk versus the reward factor could possibly change drastically. Van Buren also said we all together, seeming like all of the escapees that have been captured at this point, 8 of them, are all together at this Angola State Prison. And just to clarify, Angola State Prison is nothing to take lightly. This is a place that is notoriously known for a long history of violence. There's over 6,000 prisoners here, 1,800 staff and correctional officers. And if you look up the Wikipedias on this particular prison, it's as long as a book in regards to the history of this place. So if a place like this, which is essentially got to be hell on earth, is better than the conditions were at a particular jail, what does that say about that jail? Folks, that's all the information that I've got here today. Just wanted to bring you the very latest and hope you found some interest in this. If you did so, please leave a like and a comment on this video letting me know exactly what you think about the information shared here today. And if you find yourself here on After Prison Show enjoying this content but not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so and turning on bell notifications so that you never miss an upload from us, as we have new videos every day. Doing so would greatly be appreciated and would go a long ways to helping to support this channel. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!